So, both of you have spent time studying overseas. Actually, I never got to do that. What's your advice, Vin, maybe starting with you, for somebody currently in university or doing a master's, haven't quite started work, probably done some internships. What would you say they should do to make a career choice, knowing that this career choice will probably impact the rest of their lives quite heavily, right? It's not impossible to switch, but that first job does kind of matter, right? Because it could put you on the first rung, or it could put you on the third rung, where you start your climb, right?
Wow.
Looking back on your own experiences, right? Having joined.
Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for using the word looking back.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to bring it up here.
Yeah.
Firstly, I think I'm a bit young to be asked these questions.
You're not young.
Let's get past that.
No, I'm still young, man.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to make a joke that I wanted to make, which is actually taken from a comedian. I think Mark Maron or something, and a few people have said it, which is starting a podcast is the first sign of early onset midlife crisis.
Oh, okay. No wonder I use it.
Yeah.
I said that should be one of the topics.
So we can't be all having midlife crisis unless we're already in the midlife, right?
Yeah.
So forget about being young.
Yeah, you're not young.
That boat has sailed.
Yeah, that's denial, dude. But anyway, okay, so...
So why don't Vlad you go first?
Sure.
Yeah. Why don't we let it go first, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, when you're young, so many things you should know, but you don't know, and that's just how the world is. Right?
Yeah.
So I say I wish I knew things which I can't possibly know when I'm just graduating from college. But if I could go back in time, one of the things I would have changed is not to follow the crowd blindly.
Okay.
When you're young, you're impressionable, you're forming your opinions based on what the people that you respect most do. You like somebody, they do something, and then you follow because that's how young people make decisions. They're not informed decisions. And when I was graduating, that was the fashion. Everybody would work on Wall Street. That was the most prestigious career. They paid the best money. And a couple of years later, it was no longer finance, it was technology. So everybody wanted to work for Google or for Facebook, right? A couple of years after I graduated. So anyway, my time, we all followed the crowd to Wall Street, and so did I. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with doing what other people were doing. I'm saying do it for your own reasons. Make an informed choice about why you want to do something, and don't just do it because you're following the crowd. Inform yourself.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. But, following the crowd is a matter of, I think, reading the signals.
Yeah.
Right? Because Wall Street always signals success, high salaries, fast lifestyle. So if you are saying don't pay full attention to that, right? And pay attention to some sort of internal signals.
Take it as an input, but make your decisions based on your own personality. Know yourself as well. Don't do something that works for the average person. Inform yourself about the average person, but also be self-aware about what your character is, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and make a decision based on your own personality as well. For example, one thing you've heard me say before many times is that every company, every corporation is like a person. There's old people, there's young people, there's aggressive people, there is shy people, and corporations are just the same. You have like young startups, virile, full of energy and hope, no knowledge, but belief in the future. You have big old corporations resting on years of fame, established brands, access to capital, great market share, who don't really need to do much but collect rent. They're slow, they don't innovate, and that's kind of the people. That's kind of the same for the people who work there. So before you join a company, think about whether the character of that company, which has a character just like a person, aligns with your character, which may or may not. So what works for the crowd may not work for you. If I had known myself better back then, and if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have joined a large company at all. I would have joined a small company because it jives much better with my own personality, with my own character.
Your first company was Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs, yes. It's a great company. It's probably the best corporation you want to work for. If you want to work for a corporation, and I have quite a few things to say about corporations in general,
Right.
as a species.
Yeah, really smart people and apparently doing God's work, right? During the financial crisis.
That's a fact, yes.
Yeah, of course.
We did a lot of God's work. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're praying to the Chinese god of fortune, but which is it's a thing, right? Come on. Okay, that's interesting. So you would have done something more like a startup, smaller company, more agile, less bureaucratic.
Example. So I joined Goldman Sachs, right? I'm a first-year analyst. I don't know anything, but I'm full of energy. I think I'm smart, and I'm just trying to change the world. I'm trying to impress everybody with my greatness. But that's the wrong way to approach the start of your journey in a big company. You should shut up and listen and learn and be more grateful to the people who mean well and are trying to teach you something.
No, but on Wall Street, don't you have to be, bringing your A game all the time?
Not on day one. Nobody wants that from you. Nobody expects that from you. Mm-hmm. They don't hire you to tell them how to run their business. They hire you to learn and to help them along that. So listen to your mentor. Mm-hmm. Keep your mouth shut. Learn first and speak later. That would be the first advice I would give my younger self.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't try to change the world, because the world is quite a bit older than you are. No matter how smart or knowledgeable you think you are, you're not when you're first starting. That's one advice I would give my younger self.
Okay, so basically saying avoid that common trap of thinking that you know better
when you first start.
I mean, that's the I guess the casual arrogance of youth.
Yeah, and you have a great advantage being young because people just like you. They see the younger self in you. They want to teach you. They want to coach you. They want to give you the best chance that even they didn't have. And there's no reason why they do it. Just like parents love their children, they want the best for them. So just take that love and be grateful for it and express gratitude by just learning. Yeah, they didn't hire you out of college to tell them this is how company's going to make money. They hire you to groom you. So be groomed and learn. Absorb the love. Don't give back knowledge.
That's a shockingly positive and cuddly message for somebody who worked on Wall Street.
Yeah, but that's you have a very short window when you're young.
Yeah.
Use that. This naivete, this foolishness is your advantage. People love that about you because you're like a diamond in the rough. They can mold you to their liking, and that's what they like about you. But if you're very rough and you're not moldable, then you're defeating the purpose. Like, why we hire this guy? We could have hired a 40-year-old fart, to give us his opinion. Why we hire a smart guy out of college to teach us how to do stuff, right?
Okay, so you basically spent 5 minutes telling us that you wish that you were a little bit less stubborn.
I wish I was softer, more open to learning, more willing to accept that people just mean you well, and accept the mentorship. That's the advice I would give my younger self. Yeah.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. I never thought that you would ever say something like that.
Not when I was 23. Yeah.
No.
So how long is that period? You said like they want to hire you because you're young and etc. How long do you think?
Well, at some point you can no longer say I'm
like 3 months, 6 months, or like how long do you think a graduate can?
Probably 2 years. Afterwards,
okay,
they expect you to stand on your 2 legs. And again, career is a long journey. So
I do have a point to make about that, which is I think, for companies that are consistently, so I of course make no recommendation about Goldman Sachs at all, right? But companies that consistently outperform in general, I think they've gotten their culture and the alignment of incentives between employees and company pretty well, right? They've gotten that down to almost a science sometimes. And I think for a reputedly dynamic organization like Goldman's with basically the smartest people, I think the alignment of incentives creates this environment, I suppose, where young people are hired and nurtured because that's good for the company, but that doesn't apply to all companies, right?
Sure.
So what would you say to some poor guy that or person that ends up in a company that is, like one of those companies you described, right? Big, monolithic, bureaucratic, and new people are just either slave labor or a potential threat, right? So they're either worked to the bone or they're squashed completely, right? No love whatsoever. And sometimes you can't avoid taking on a job like that, right?
I wouldn't be speaking from experience because I was probably lucky enough to never start my career in a place like that.
But you have worked for companies that felt like that, right?
One thing you mentioned about is the incentives. And that's also another thing I wish my younger self understood better. People operate like dogs based on incentives. So no matter what they say is the mission of the company or their interest or whatever, they have certain incentives and they will invariably act upon these incentives. And to understand why people act in seemingly irrational ways, you have to understand what those incentives are.
What drives that person?
What is the carrot in front of them? And I wish I had the maturity to understand those things. Now looking back, I can generalize that large companies in general have very, very different set of incentives for their employees than, let's say, a small startup still founder-owned, for example.
Okay.
One stark example is the way to grow in a large corporation is by spending the company's money. So if I'm a manager and I want to self-promote, I want to advance my career, I want to manage as many people as possible. And I want to spend as much as possible. Because the more money I spend, it's not my money, it's company's money, but the more of it I spend, the larger budget I'm going to get next year. The larger budget I have, the more power I have, the bigger title. The more people I manage, I'm going to ask for a larger title, for senior manager or director level, because look, I have 50 bumpkins now underneath me. So boss, give me a higher title. And because a manager's pay is linked to the pay of their subordinates, the higher I pay them, the higher I can justify paying myself. Usually a manager's pay is about twice as high as a subordinate's pay. So the incentives are totally skewed towards hire as many people as possible. Make sure those people are never going to challenge you. So they should be low quality, high quantity. Make sure they're all yes men and they keep their mouth shut. Make sure that they never take any incentive and they never take any risk. Because if they show incentive, worst case scenario, it doesn't go well and it's bad for your team, it's bad for you as a manager. If it goes well for them, they get promoted over you, right?
Initiative, you mean?
Yeah, initiative.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
So people who take initiative are bad for business. So as a manager,
in a big corporation,
I would like to hire risk-averse, quiet, yes men, not too low quality because it reflects poorly on me, but not too high quality so that they get promoted over me. I want them to be numerous because their head count is what gives me power in the company. And I want them to spend as much as possible. So when they bring me a big project, I say, no, this project is not big enough. I want to spend more money. If a guy comes to me and says, hey, I can rationalize things, we can do much more with fewer people and save money, I want to fire that guy. This guy is not helping me advance my career, right? and what I'm saying here may sound crazy, but it's very rational. And people may not even realize it, but that's how they act because these are the incentives upon them.
Yeah, I think personally, I've seen something like that. I've been in numerous management meetings where we talk about promoting or not promoting people. And there have been conversations where, we are trying to make a new, senior vice president or something. And, comments were made where they said that, no, but he only manages a team of 2 people. How can we promote him to? What about the other guy who has 10 people? Right? So sometimes perverse outcomes do. So
contrast that with a small startup, family-owned or founder-owned. He want to achieve as much as possible with as little money as possible because it's his own money. He has no interest in hiring large quantities of people.
Yeah, full alignment of incentives, right? Yeah.
He wants those people to be high quality, to be aligned with him. He wants them to one day take over the business. So he wants to groom them to take initiative and to want to step up and take ownership and one day run the business. He wants that from them.
Yeah, and
because he want to retire and leave his baby in good hands so he can enjoy his shareholder benefits. The incentives are almost 180 degrees, right? So when you decide what company to join, you better understand what the incentives are that people inside are facing because they will operate based on these incentives, no matter what they say.
Yeah.
People will never go against their nature.
That's very thought-provoking.
Okay. Like, what thoughts has it provoked then?
Well, two things.
It's your turn now, by the way. Right?
Number one, he made twice as much as I did when I work for you.
I'm not sure.
That's the
about
first
that.
thing.
No, I'm
the
not
second
sure.
one, I made so many mistakes. Damn, stupid me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made so many mistakes.
What kind of mistakes do you make?
Take initiative. Taking initiative.
Initiative.
Yes.
Okay.
I should have not done that.
Well, firstly, I would say that I don't think I made twice. I think it was definitely less. I think it was
3 times.
less. Secondly, it also depends on, I think, team dynamics. Yeah, you have a general corporate culture. You actually, and culture starts from the top, right?
Yep.
But I think with a really good boss who's not just a manager but a leader, who has vision, initiative can be a good thing, right? Especially if that boss, and we happen to work for some pretty good ones. I mean, vary over the years, right? But we've had a good boss, and he is very secure. He's not afraid of any of us ever overtaking him because we're just not as good, and not as clever, and not as charismatic, right?
It's not even in my dream, man.
Yeah, not even in our dreams.
No, I was just
so I wouldn't say
trying to imply, but yes, on the second point,
you just want to give me shit about the salary thing, right?
Yeah, I think depends on the senior, how they set the culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think we may have lost the original question a little bit, which was...
What advice would you give your younger self graduating from college?
Maybe, maybe let me contribute a bit, right? So I think the number one, intern more, right? Try to find...
Intern more, okay.
Try to find all opportunities you can and start interning more, right? Understand...
But what's the benefit of doing multiple internships?
I think it's really about exposures, right? And understand the corporate cultures, understand... Maybe you find a good boss, or good managers, who knows, right? But at least it's about exposures, and the more the merrier. There's no downside about that.
Okay, but these days I do feel a little bit for the university students because it's become
so I think I understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I understand where I'm coming from. I think for me it's really about the diverse skill set, so exposures, also perspective. I value that a lot more than you make the right first shot. Like intern for Goldman Sachs, and then after graduation, you join them, right? And then the life stick with them for long. I don't value that.
And become a partner someday, right?
Yes, I don't. I mean, being a partner, you make a lot of money, but I don't value that because the perspective is too narrow. I value exposures. I value perspective more, right? So that's why, for me, I would advise people to intern more, working for different companies, different size as well. Different, like even a local one, a foreign one, and etc. So that's number one. Number two, if you're really into like some entrepreneurship things, do it, right? Because that's the best time. It might fail, and it might.
But your cost is the lowest then.
Yes, the cost is low because the downside is limited as well, and you fail faster. It's part of the package, right? But if you learn a lot along the way. So that's number two, but only when you are into it. Right. But if you're not, then don't bother. Number three, I think on a side note, usually students now, they blame a lot about schools, like the knowledge they gain is really from textbook and etc.
Insufficient, right? Yeah.
Yeah, insufficient and etc. But I think don't blame schools. School is for you to learn from textbook, right? They won't teach you about industrial knowledge, right? So you have to go out and learn for yourself.
Okay, so that was
the third one,
right?
networking. Yeah, the third one is about networking.
Yeah.
So apart from internship, networking is plenty.
How would you network as a college student?
I mean, look at myself now. If I go to a network now, I'm really interested in talking to students, right? Because understand what they're into now. Because it might fall.
And what kind of events would that be?
There's so many networkings, right? Even like career fairs and etc. Right? The students usually they got cheaper ticket or discounted ticket, so they can go. Right? So the students can go. Easier for us. They have time, and the ticket is cheaper. So go and network, make some friends, contacts, and hopefully you find the right boss or managers, again, similar to the internship, right? So just some concrete tips over there.
Okay, so what was
advices,
your... Sorry?
These are all good advices, yeah. Network, intern more, expose yourself, yeah. I would second that.
Yeah. I agree, right? Basic common sense kind of advice, right? That sometimes people forget, right?
Yep.
What would you say that, and this probably leads into the next question, which is about frustrations in corporate life, right? But yeah, what would you say is the most important lesson that you learned from your first real job, which is RSR Capital? Was it?
Yeah, but I was his boss, so I'm afraid what he might say.
Yeah, just be honest, man.
No, we can cut it, man.
Yeah, we can always cut it out. Yeah. Or we can emphasize it, use it as part of the trailer to say drama between ex-staff and ex-boss.
Yeah. I think I almost hit Vlad. Yeah.
Okay. So emotions were high,
Yes.
You disagreed strongly about something.
Yes, but I think I learned a lot, right? And then, and then I charged more and more.
Oh, you can learn more if you try to hit me.
Yeah, I know.
As Mark Twain says, everybody who has pulled a cat by the tail knows 2 or 3 things more than other people.
Yeah, so, I'm smart, man. Yeah, so I learned more and more. I mean, I charged it more and more. All the lesson I learned. But it was, during the time, it was really up and down, right, for me. I was also dumb as well, right? I'm not, I'm not saying all good about myself, but I was dumb as well. Lots of things to learn.
Define dumb.
Meaning it's a new industry, finance, and especially Vlad, he's smart as well. He's very smart, and
so I was
the communication.
Basically, that's what
I also got.
Yeah, you were a slave driver, right?
No, wasn't, but okay. Anyway,
communication as well, right? So I still remember. I had the habit of say yes or no, confusing it to a lot of people. When they ask, "Don't you love coffee?" I say yes. So does it mean you love or you don't love? So that's the lessons I learned. Yeah. So communication, it was a problem, but I improved after that. Yeah.
Okay. So your lesson from that would be that to recognize that your boss is trying to help you, I suppose. From that incident when you had, a bad quarrel with Vlad, which is to...
No one helped me. He was my boss. So.
Yeah. No, so he was just giving you shit, and then you almost hit him because you were upset that he was demanding something from you that you felt you couldn't give. Or?
I don't remember the detail, but yeah, I only remember.
The most frustrating part of your career is...
Yeah, he's almost hitting you. I think if he hit you, then maybe he wouldn't be so frustrated.
No. Yeah, I don't remember.
Could you come with some other example? You have many other jobs beside that.
No, I mean, I like you, man. I learn, and I see you put effort in, like transferring the knowledge to the next person. But it's just like,
the mechanism was painful.
Mechanism, yes. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's almost like growing up with really strict parents, right? You take a lot of shit, but ultimately it's for your own good.
Yeah.
Right, and to be able to recognize that, I think, at a young age.
Yeah.
Maybe difficult for some people. Right. I think we all had part of that. When I was just starting out in my career, I was also arrogant. I remember saying to so back then, it was a big deal to be able to work directly with the CEO as part of that management associate program. I remember saying to the CEO at the time, he wanted me to write a speech for him, and he asked me how long that would take. And I said to him, writing a speech, that's easy, right? I'll give it to you tomorrow. And he had to, and to his credit, right? He didn't let me fail. He sat me down and said, look, writing a speech for the head of an organization, right? And he's a humble guy, he's not saying that, I'm big shot CEO. He said that writing a speech for the head of an organization, representing the organization, takes a lot of research. It's not just fancy words, right? And a lot of work needs to go into it. So you might want to rethink your timeline. And going back to your point about, people wanting to groom and nurture. Sometimes you meet the right kind of people. So this guy, Xie Fu Hua, was the CEO that I worked with. Amazing guy.
I think I read a story about the slow turtle.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so after writing that speech, and working with him, and going to his house on a weekend to go through the speech, eventually turned out well. Nobody, said that it was a bad speech. So I think that's good.
Well done. But how long did it take? It's the next day?
It took me, I think, a month or two, to really get it down. So that was a good check to my natural arrogance because I was good at writing, right? So after the end of that stint, which was very short, like 3 months, I sent him one of my favorite haikus, a Japanese short poem, right? Which goes something like, "Oh turtle, climb Mount Fuji, but slowly, right?" And I think that was the lesson I took away from dealing directly with a CEO and showing him my arrogance in thinking that I can write his speech. And I think that taught me that don't be too hasty when you're young. But that is the benefit of being young, right? You're full of energy. You are not afraid to take risks. Sometimes you do something stupid, but you are mostly forgiven for it.
Yeah.
So your point about
when you're young,
accepting mentorship, right? Yeah.
Later on, not so much.
Yeah.